The first time I woke up at exactly 2:00 a.m., I thought it was a coincidence. The second time, I thought it was a habit. But the third time, when I opened my eyes and saw my wife silently slipping out of our bedroom, fully dressed, moving like a ghost in the dark, I knew something was wrong. Not normal wrong, dangerous wrong. Before I tell you what happened next, I want to ask you something real quick. Where are you watching this from right now? Drop your city or country in the comments. I read them all. And if you love stories that hit deep, stories that stay with you long after they end, take a second to subscribe to Crown Tales. You won't regret it. Now, let me take you back to the night everything began to fall apart. My name is Daniel, and until a few weeks ago, I believed I had the perfect life. I wasn't the richest man in the world, but I was comfortable. I owned a small but successful construction company, built from nothing but sweat, sleepless nights, and a stubborn refusal to fail. The kind of life where you don't worry about the next bill, but you still remember what it felt like to struggle. But the real reason I felt like I had everything was my wife, Clara. She wasn't just beautiful, though she was in a quiet, effortless way. It was more than that. She had this calm presence, like everything around her slowed down. Like no matter how chaotic life got, she could anchor you. We had been married for 4 years. No kids yet. Not because we didn't want them, but because we kept saying, let's just enjoy us a little longer. And we did. Or at least, I thought we did. It started small. Clara began going to bed earlier than usual. She used to stay up with me sometimes, watching late-night shows, laughing at things that weren't even that funny. But suddenly, she was tired by 10 p.m. every night. I'm just exhausted, she would say with a soft smile. Work has been a lot lately. I didn't question it. Life gets tiring. That's normal. But then came the nights I woke up. At first it was random. A noise, a shift in the bed, the faint click of the bedroom door. I'd open my eyes halfway, see her silhouette moving, and think nothing of it. Maybe she was going to the bathroom. Maybe she couldn't sleep. But one night, I checked the time. 2:03 a.m. She wasn't in bed, and she didn't come back for almost an hour. The next day, I asked her casually, "Hey, did you wake up last night?" She paused for a second, too long, then smiled. "Yeah, couldn't sleep. I went to the kitchen for some water." Simple, normal, believable. But something about the way she said it didn't sit right. The pattern continued. Every night, 2 a.m., like clockwork, she would quietly get out of bed, already dressed, not pajamas, but actual clothes, and leave. And every time, she'd be gone for exactly 45 minutes to an hour. No more, no less. That's when my mind started to wander. At first, I tried to stay rational. Maybe she was going for walks. Maybe she needed space. Maybe I was overthinking. But there's a voice in your gut that doesn't care about logic. And mine was getting louder. I started paying closer attention. Watching her. Listening. Not in a controlling way, but in a way that felt like survival. Because deep down, something in me knew. This wasn't just a habit. This was a secret. One night, I pretended to be asleep, breathing slow, still. At exactly 2:00 a.m., I felt her move, carefully, gently lifting the blanket so it wouldn't wake me. She stepped out of bed, and I kept my eyes barely open. She walked to the closet, and that's when I saw it clearly for the first time. She wasn't just getting dressed. She already was dressed. Black jeans, a dark hoodie, hair tied back, like someone who didn't want to be recognized. My chest tightened. This wasn't a midnight walk. This looked like preparation. She moved quietly through the room, grabbed something small from the dresser, her phone, and slipped out. The door clicked softly behind her, and just like that, she was gone. I sat up slowly. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. Every instinct in me screamed to follow her. But I didn't. Not that night. Because part of me was still afraid of what I might find. The next morning, she acted normal. Too normal. She made breakfast, smiled, kissed me on the cheek before I left for work. Like nothing was happening. Like she hadn't disappeared in the middle of the night. Again. Days passed, and I started noticing more things. Her phone was always on silent. She'd step out of the room to take calls. Sometimes she'd just stare at her screen, like she was waiting for something. Or someone. The thoughts I had, I didn't want to have them, but they came anyway. Was she cheating? Was there someone else? Was my entire life a lie? I hated myself for even thinking it. Because Clara didn't seem like that kind of person. But then again, did anyone ever seem like that kind of person? One night, I made a decision. I couldn't keep living like this. Not knowing, not sleeping, not trusting the woman I loved. So I told myself, tonight I follow her. 2:10 a.m. came, right on time. She got up, dressed the same way, moved the same way, silent, careful, like she had done this 100 times before. But this time, I was ready. I waited 10 seconds after she left. Then I got up quietly, threw on a jacket, and slipped out the front door. The night air hit me cold, still, too still, like the world was holding its breath. I saw her, down the street, walking fast, not looking back. I kept my distance, heart racing. Every step felt heavier than the last, because with every second, I was getting closer to the truth. She turned a corner, then another, leading us away from our quiet neighborhood, into a part of the city we rarely ever went to. Dark streets, closed shops, flickering streetlights. She finally stopped, in front of a building, old, run down, the kind of place you don't notice during the day and avoid at night. She looked around quickly, like she was checking if anyone was watching. I ducked behind a parked car, holding my breath. Then she pulled out a key and unlocked the door. My stomach dropped. She had a key. She stepped inside, and the door shut behind her. For a moment, I just stood there, frozen, because whatever this was, it wasn't random. It wasn't new. This had been going on for a while. I walked up slowly, each step heavier than the last, and placed my hand on the door. Unlocked. I pushed it open just enough to slip inside. The smell hit me first. Dust, old wood, and something else, something metallic. The hallway was dimly lit, faint light coming from a room at the end, and I could hear voices. Clara's voice, soft, but urgent. And then, a man's voice. My chest tightened so hard it felt like it might explode. I moved closer, step by step, trying not to make a sound, until I reached the door, slightly open. And that's when I heard it, clear as day. "Clara, you shouldn't have brought him into this." Silence. Then her voice, shaking. I had no choice. "He's my husband." My heart stopped. The man replied, colder this time. "Then he's already in danger." I pushed the door open, and what I saw inside didn't just break my heart. It shattered everything I thought I knew about my life. Clara wasn't alone. Standing in front of her was a man I recognized instantly. A man I hadn't seen in over 10 years. A man who was supposed to be dead. My brother. And in that moment, Clara turned around. Her eyes met mine, filled with fear, with guilt, with something else I couldn't even name. And she whispered one word. "Run! Run!" That was the last word Clara said before everything exploded. I didn't move. I couldn't. Because standing in front of me, breathing, alive, very real, was my older brother, Marcus. The same Marcus we buried 10 years ago. The same Marcus whose death shattered my family. The same Marcus whose loss pushed me to become the man I am today. My mind couldn't process it. This wasn't fear anymore. This was something deeper, something unreal. "Daniel," Marcus said, his voice low, cautious. "You weren't supposed to see this." I felt my chest tighten. "Yeah?" I said, my voice cracking. "Well, funny how things don't always go according to plan, right?" My eyes darted to Clara. She looked like she was about to break. Tears sat heavy in her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. "Daniel, please, just listen." "Listen?" I snapped. "You've been sneaking out every night at 2 a.m., meeting a dead man behind my back, and you want me to listen?" My voice echoed through the room. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Marcus stepped forward, slowly, carefully, like I was the dangerous one. "You deserve the truth," he said. I let out a hollow laugh. "You think?" "Marcus died 10 years ago," I said, my voice shaking now. "I buried him." I stood there. I watched them lower the coffin into the ground. Marcus didn't flinch. Yeah, he said quietly. You did? My heart started pounding again. Then explain this, I demanded. Explain how you're standing here like some kind of ghost. He took a deep breath, and what he said next changed everything. I didn't die, Daniel. The words felt like a punch to the chest. What? I didn't die, he repeated. I was taken. The room felt smaller, like the walls were closing in. Taken? I said slowly. By who? Marcus glanced at Clara. She nodded barely, like she had been carrying this weight for too long. By people you don't know, Marcus said. People who don't play by rules. People who needed me and made sure the world believed I was gone. I stared at him, trying to find the lie, trying to find anything that made sense. You're telling me, I said, my voice low, dangerous now, that for 10 years you were just gone? And you never came back? Never contacted me? Never told your own brother you were alive? His jaw tightened. You think I had a choice? Silence. Heavy. Unforgiving. Then I turned to Clara, slowly, like I was afraid of what I'd see. How long? I asked. Her lips trembled. A year. A year. A full year. You've been meeting him for a year? I asked. She nodded. And you didn't think to tell me? Tears rolled down her face now. I wanted to, she whispered. So many times, but I couldn't. Why? I demanded. Her answer came in a whisper. Because they would have killed you. The room went cold. Marcus stepped in. She's telling the truth, he said. The people who took me, they don't just let things go. I got out, but not completely. They're still watching, still controlling pieces of my life. I shook my head. No, this doesn't make sense. None of this makes sense. It's not supposed to, Marcus said. That's how they survive. I backed away, trying to breathe, trying to think. But my thoughts were colliding, crashing into each other. You expect me to believe this? I said. That my wife has been secretly meeting my dead brother for a year to protect me from some invisible threat. Clara stepped closer. Daniel, please. I flinched, actually flinched, and that broke her. I saw it, right there in her eyes. Every night I left, she said, her voice shaking. It wasn't to betray you. It was to protect you. I laughed bitterly. By lying to me? By keeping you alive. She shot back. That hit harder than anything else. Marcus ran a hand over his face. We're running out of time, he said. What does that mean? I asked. He looked at me. Directly. Seriously. It means they know you're here. The air shifted, like something invisible had just stepped into the room. What? I whispered. I told her not to bring you into this, Marcus said. But now it's too late. Clara grabbed my arm. Daniel, we have to go. Right now. My instincts kicked in. Not fear. Not confusion. Something else. Survival. Go where? I asked. Anywhere but here, Marcus said. And then a sound. Outside. Tires screeching. Doors slamming. Clara's grip tightened. They found us. Marcus moved fast. Faster than I remembered. He grabbed something from a table, a small black case, and shoved it into my hands. Take this. What is it? I asked. No time. Just don't lose it. Heavy footsteps echoed from the hallway. Multiple people. Not hiding anymore. They're here, Clara whispered. Her voice broke. I'm sorry, Daniel. I never wanted you in this. The door behind us burst open. 3 men, dressed in black. Cold eyes. No hesitation. Marcus, one of them said calmly. You've been very difficult to track. Marcus stepped in front of us, shielding us. You should have stayed buried, the man continued. My heart was racing, but something inside me shifted. This wasn't just confusion anymore. This was war. Get behind me, Marcus said. Clara pulled me back, but I didn't move far, because I wasn't running anymore. Not after everything I'd just learned. Daniel, Clara whispered urgently. Please, this isn't your fight. I looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time since this started, I understood. She hadn't been betraying me. She had been carrying a secret so heavy. It was crushing her, alone, for a year, to protect me. I tightened my grip on the case and stepped forward. It is now, I said. The man in black smirked. Wrong choice. And then everything happened at once. Marcus lunged. A blur of movement. A fight exploded in the room. Fast, violent, unforgiving. Clara pulled me toward the back exit. Daniel, come on! But I hesitated. For 1 second. Looking back at my brother, the man I thought I lost. Fighting for his life. Go! He shouted. That was all it took. We ran. Out the back door. Into the cold night. Sirens in the distance. Footsteps behind us. Clara didn't stop. Didn't look back. And neither did I. Not until we reached the car. Not until we were driving. Fast. Away from everything. My hands were still shaking. My mind still spinning. I looked at Clara. She looked back. Tears still in her eyes. But something else, too. Relief. I'm sorry, she whispered again. I took a deep breath. Long. Heavy. And then I said the only thing that mattered. Next time, we face it together. She nodded. And for the first time in weeks, there were no secrets between us. Just truth. And the war that was just beginning. Because whatever was inside that case was important enough to fake a death, destroy a family, and send men to kill us in the middle of the night. And now, it was in my hands,